I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to get every episode of We're From The Internet at least a day earlier than the iTunes and Stitcher folk? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/pledge to support us on Patreon, and as well as early access, we'll throw in an exclusive weekly show just for our patrons too.
What's something you tired of hearing?
Something I'm tired of hearing? Your voice.
Don't say that. That's not true. You know full well that's never going to be true. I don't know. I'm tired of hearing about the election
news.
That's weird.
Hold on. Let's look up when this episode is going to be released. This might be the most topical thing in the history of the world. So this episode...
Why, Kevin, it'll be released this morning.
Yeah, I'm just checking what today's date is. Today's date is the 2nd of May. When's the election?
No idea, but it's my anniversary today. Happy anniversary, Claire.
That's not my name.
Yeah.
It's Anna's birthday in 2 days. Happy birthday for 2 days' time, Anna.
I'm sick of it, even though I set up a Twitter account to rant about it. It occurred to me that no matter who I vote for, we live in a Tory area, and there's no way around that, really, because everyone is a Tory. So, what's the point? I'm basically protesting with it.
Well, yeah, there's only handful of constituencies across the country that actually make any difference to how the vote ends up.
Which is just,
and it's even with how the Scottish National Party is taking over Scotland, that's even less likely to be an issue now, because so much of the Labour vote came from Scotland. They're basically cancelling out Labour up there, so it's looking a bit like a foregone conclusion now that the Conservatives have pretty much got it tied up, haven't they? Unless I'm reading things wrong.
Round here, unless I don't understand the system, around here we've got a choice between the guy who's been in charge for over a decade or an 18-year-old who's running for the Greens. Some old guy...
You can't be an MP at 18. You have to be 21 to be a member of
Parliament.
Parliament.
He's a student.
Well, he must be 21. That's one of the few things you have to do when you're 21. You can't be an MP at 18.
I was ranting because I was saying even though I wanted to vote that way, possibly, maybe, I don't know, I was annoyed because I thought, what could he possibly know at that age that would make him be a decent politician? And she was going off on one, and I was like, no, he just doesn't have the life experience. You know, you just don't at that age. It's not a slight on him for being young. You just can't.
If he knew anything about politics, he'd have picked a party that had a chance of winning.
Exactly. He obviously just wanted a bit of training or whatever, doesn't he? But
before he becomes a real politician in his 40s.
But yeah, there isn't, as far as I'm aware, there aren't many constituencies that are likely to change that much, surely. So it just seems a bit mad, really. I'm fed up of hearing about it. I have to block it out. I actually wrote a list of stuff I was fed up about the other day in my ideas book.
What number was I on the list?
No, you're not in there. You don't feature in the ideas book. But it started off as an ideas book for writing and whatnot, but then it turned into a life plan kind of book, and then it became into a list of things I want to eliminate, and things like, I got my wife to fill it in as well. Top of her list was dust.
Just buy the girl a Hoover.
She's got a Hoover. I told her, I actually wrote answers to all of hers next to hers, and 2 of them were, let's just get a cleaner, for God's sakes, woman. But I put on there that I'm sick of politics, I'm sick of football, and I'm sick of the news. And I suddenly thought, I should just delete a load of websites and apps off my iPad and my phone. And I'm tempted, I'm this close, and that I'm doing the very, very, very close with my fingers.
His fingers are 3 millimetres apart at the moment. It's ridiculous. I've never seen closer fingers.
Exactly, no one has. But I'm that close to telling my wife that I want to sell the telly and just get rid of it. Just not bother, because I want to eliminate time wasting.
How would that work out for our gaming podcast?
No, I know, that's the only thing that stopped me. I even sat there thinking, well, if
just unplug it from the aerial.
No, but I also thought if I sold both the consoles, I could become a purely PC gamer. And I'd only miss out on a fraction of the releases, which you would cover. But I would have a good 500 or 600 quid to spend on a new console.
You delayed our recording tonight so that you could watch Game of Thrones. You wouldn't be able to watch that if you didn't have a telly.
But I've read them all. And if I just didn't bother watching it, I'd read the rest of it and I'd still know how it ended. I read the comics.
Be able to watch that.
Stop naming stuff I read.
I don't know what you read. What do you think I am, a library?
You know I read both of them.
Yeah, they're the only things you have read in the last 10 years. That and everything I write. You're obsessed.
I'm your editor.
I've deleted the news apps from my phone. I used to have a whole folder on here for news apps, and it's all gone. I don't go on news websites anymore. This is basically becoming the Why Kev Loves Tim Ferriss podcast because
he told you to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right, and
it's been 3 weeks now that I've been on news blackout. I'm not being militant about it, so if the news is on when I walk in a room, I'm not running away from it.
Fingers in your ears.
Yeah,
it's through the telly.
But I walked into work this morning and I explained this to everyone. When I finished explaining to them my new email autoresponder, I explained how I don't watch the news anymore, so I'm going to come in and ask them every day what the most important thing I need to know about in the world is and get them to tell me for 2 minutes. And all they could come up with was, there's an election on.
Do you know what annoys me with that as well that I'm sick of hearing about? Immigration. It just does my head in. Just basically, the immigration itself doesn't do my head in. The talk of
I've
it.
already got that recorded as a little soundbite that I'm going to use when you run for Prime Minister.
But what I mean is, all of these non-issues that people are using to say why the country is a mess. And I'm not going to get all political and crazy and all that sort of stuff, but when you look at the cost of things...
Says the man who just said he doesn't like immigration.
When you look at the cost of things to the country, it's so minuscule on a grand scale, but because you hear the word million after it, everyone goes, oh, that's a fortune, I don't have millions. But when you think the country is like $1 trillion in debt, whatever it is, you know, the budgets that we work on are so high, you can't get your brain around it. It's just huge. When they had Farage on telly being a knob, like he always is, going on about how there's...
By the time this episode's out, he could be on the verge of becoming our Prime Minister.
But he was ranting about how people with HIV come to the country as tourists and get 25 grand's worth of treatment. And then I read that...
I suppose he's the reason the Conservatives might not have it wrapped up, because he's obviously taking some of their vote away.
They will.
But, no, because he's the crazies on either end are sort of drifting off, and it's weird. I don't like the way there's too many parties now. Yeah. We're turning into Germany. But
the amount that his big rant, it turned out to be less than like 50 million on saving people's lives, and I just thought, Jesus, that's not worth even talking about in a thing where you're ranting. I mean, when people talk about Trident, it's £100 billion that's been spent on that, and there's a big debate about should we spend that on a submarine that shoots nukes out of the sky, or should we spend it on hospitals and stuff? I can kind of see the debate, but should we spend 50 million?
Get it to shoot hospitals out of the sky. Can't you have the best of both
worlds?
I
keep thinking,
have a hospital that shoots nukes.
Going to get a bit geeky here, but in one of the games I played when I was younger, there's a whole country or town or city. It's a massive place
on a submarine. Was it a yellow submarine?
No, that is. They just cover it with like a kind of a shield of some kind. I don't know what it is. It just basically they make it disappear.
Imaginary. That's what it was. It's something that you couldn't do in reality.
No, you couldn't do it in reality. But I'm sure if you had £100 billion of budget to spend on researching it,
so you want to forget about a nuclear deterrent and forget about hospitals and spend. You're going to put it all on green, right? I want a big shield.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I don't want to spend £100 billion on it.
So your election pledge. We're just going to spend it all on a shield, lads.
We'll spend 70 billion on hospitals, and the other 30 billion we'll just pay science to come up with some kind of force field that goes around the country.
But they don't exist.
But we can't be that far off it. I'm sure there's probably a scientist out there who can stop people punching him and can stop a knife going through a... You know what I mean? They've probably come up with a very basic... You can probably stop an ant walking through a door.
No, he can't.
But he can't stop a nuke, and he just needs a bit of money to sort him out. But if we made that the focus, if we spent 30 billion on that, I'm pretty sure you could do anything.
This is why you shouldn't go into politics. You want to spend money on
but I'm pretty sure with 30 billion, with £1 billion, you could probably eliminate any issue. We should probably just line up 100 issues. We get 99 issues solved, £1 billion each.
I don't think you understand, again, how insignificant £1 billion is. Because there's been more than £1 billion gone into trying to cure cancer.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it didn't work.
They're just not... The issue with cancer at the moment isn't the cure, it's getting it at the right time. You've got to detect it quick enough. And the only reason why people don't detect it quick enough is because they don't go to the doctors and get the right diagnosis. Some people are too late, some people don't get the right diagnosis.
You know, the question was things I'm tired of hearing. I think I was right with my initial answer.
Want an extra episode of We're From The Internet every week? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/bonus to get an exclusive weekly bonus episode 100% free.